What's up guys, it's Meg, and it's that time of the week again for our weekly walker talk, helping ease your walker withdrawals 1 week at a time. How's it going this week, guys? I asked you guys on Facebook, what did you want to talk about this week for our weekly walker talk? And I got 2 replies that were kind of the same, related to each other, and I really wanted to talk about it because the comics are a huge passion of mine, although I am not totally up to date on them. I'm very close. I wanted to talk about this because it has to do with our favorite subject, the hunters. And I know this subject has been beaten to death, but I haven't really gotten to talk about it that much, so I hope you are not totally sick of it, that you don't want to hear my opinions. So let me read what 2 of my viewers said, and then I will reply and tell you guys what I think. Trina asks, in the preview when Sasha is in the church and says 3 people are gone, who could she be talking about? She also screams, where are our people? So to touch on that real fast, I believe that Sasha was saying not that 3 people are gone, but that the sentence was probably something like, as soon as this is done, the 3 of us are gone. If you remember when they were in the tunnel and Sasha met up with Tara and Glenn, and Eugene, and when they all met up in the tunnel, I don't need to name names, we all know what happened, but when they met up in the tunnel, when Glenn was on his mission to find Maggie and they found each other, Sasha was very interested in what Rosita and Abraham and Eugene had to say about finding the cure. And if you remember, she wanted to go with them to Washington to do this mission, to take care of this. She wanted to be a part of it. And I think that that's what she was saying. At this point, when they're at Father Gabriel's church and they're talking about this, I don't know if they're at the church when they're talking about this, but it seems like it's near that point in time. I believe she's bringing it back up, saying the 3 of us are gone, meaning, her and Eugene and Rosita and Abraham, although that would be 4 people, so now I'm a little bit confused. But I think that that's more of what she was saying. I don't necessarily think that 3 people were missing. At least I hope not. But, who knows with The Walking Dead. So that's my thought. Those are my thoughts on that particular moment. Then she also says, are people getting picked off while they camp out at the church by the termites? Or do you think that they are with Gareth? Or do you think they escaped and they are being hunted by him and his termites? And then Tim, also known as Rich Guy Not, which I think every Walking Dead person out there should know him because he comments on all of our videos and he's awesome. And he knows way more about The Walking Dead than any of us do. He addresses the issue 64 to 66 in the comics are all about the hunters and what happens at Father Gabriel's church. And spoiler alert, turn this off now if you don't want a very important part of the comics to be ruined for you. Give you a moment. So essentially what happens in the comics in these issues with the hunter storyline, if you haven't read them, you should. What are you waiting for? But essentially what happens is Dale gets bit by a walker. He wanders off into the woods to die because he doesn't want to turn and hurt his people. But he gets captured by the hunters because the hunters are hunting them and nobody knows about it. He gets captured by the hunters. He wakes up, his leg has been taken off and eaten, and he laughs crazily because he's been bitten and they're eating tainted meat, and it's a very famous line from the comics. It was a very powerful moment in the comics because you kind of realize just how crazy the world has become. And it's before Negan and that huge storyline, so our survivors have left the prison and they're just trying to survive and find a new place to be, and now they're being hunted by these cannibals. And in the comics, the cannibals use Dale as a trap for them. They leave Dale outside the church, outside of Father Gabriel's church, and Rick and crew come out they see him, they come out to rescue him, and they realize it's a trap. So they have to get Dale into the church without being caught by these hunters, and that is a very brief description of what goes down in the comics. So how does that relate to The Walking Dead Season 5? I think by now it's pretty apparent, at least I think so, that Gareth and his people that survived the Terminus explosion and all of the stuff that goes down at Terminus that destroys Terminus, Gareth is going to survive, and he's going to have some of his people, probably only 5 or 6 of them, and they are going to be what we know as the hunters from the comics that are cannibals. I firmly believe this. In the Walking Dead Season 5 trailer, we see a moment where Gareth is standing outside of Father Gabriel's church, and he's kind of leaning in the doorway, and he has a gun, like he's listening, looking to see who's in there. We know this is a church because on the wall behind him there are Bible verses. Interestingly enough, these Bible verses are all about the dead rising again. You know, they're just, if you don't read the Bible, I've read the Bible, but if you don't read the Bible, you might not know what I'm talking about. But there are a lot of verses on resurrection, and it's kind of like Herschel when he said, I knew the dead would rise again. I just thought God had a little something different in mind. Those aren't the exact words that he said, but something like that. All of these Bible verses are about the dead rising from the grave. And it was just very interesting, that attention to detail that, you know, probably a huge majority of people who watched the Season 5 trailer did not notice that those were Bible verses and think to look them up. One of my viewers told me about this, but I had actually already figured it out and looked up the verses on my own. But it's just very interesting, that detail that they put into this, just in case you're smart enough to think to look up those Bible verses, you will not be disappointed. And then it totally relates to the fact that we're in the zombie apocalypse. Anyway, side note, we see Gareth leaning in the church, and we know that's the church because of the verses, and I believe that he's hunting them. At some point in time, he kidnaps one of their group. I know this. This is the storyline that they're going to have. He kidnaps one of their group, and does something to him, whether or not it's the same thing that happens from the comics. He does something to him, and he brings him or her back to the church and uses them as a trap. How do I know this? Because right around the 2-minute mark in the trailer, there is a scene where Rick yells, "Go!" and he's outside, and I think that it's Sasha behind him, but you can't really see. There are 2 people behind him, and they're like lunging for something on the ground, and then it just, you know, the scene goes to flashes away to something else. But knowing the comics, I know that's going to be the scene where Rick comes out of the church, sees one of his people on the ground, knows that it's a trap, and they come running out, you know, grabbing it and rushing back inside and laying down cover fire, you know, to try and prevent anything else from happening. We also see in the trailer, and I don't know the minute mark, but I'm sure you all have seen it, they're all in a room, and all of our group is there except Bob. And I think maybe Daryl was missing, but I'm not sure. But most of our group is accounted for. They're all standing there looking kind of somber. They all have their arms crossed, like just something bad has happened. And you see Maggie leaning down over someone, and then it flashes away before you barely even get to see Maggie. And I am certain that particular scene is whoever was kidnapped by the hunters. They are in a situation where they are dying or have been badly hurt, probably also bitten by a walker, so they're going to be changing. And it's just a very sad scene. I'm pretty certain that it's going to be Bob. It just seems like everybody's pretty much accounted for in that scene, except him and except Beth, but we know that Beth is off doing her own thing. What do I think about it being Bob? I'm not super thrilled about it, to be honest with you. You know, in any other situation, you guys know how much I love my characters. I don't ever want any of my favorites to die, ever. Thinking back to when Herschel died, and look, I'm totally getting teary. It was really sad and really emotional, and it actually affected me for a couple days afterwards, because when you become so obsessed with the show, it's like you are living the show with these characters. It's almost as if these characters are real and become a part of you, and you really feel for them and what they're going through, and you can relate to them, and you get really sad when one of them dies. But in the comics, when we saw the Hunter storyline, it was huge because it was Dale. And Dale had just as big of a role in the comics as he did in the show back in season 2 before he died. So when he died in the comics in this crazy, awful way, you know, you wake up and you've been bit, and you wake up and your leg is missing, and you see these people eating you. You know, it's incredible, and it's heart-wrenching, and you know, it's just like awful. And when he died, you know, it was just really sad and upsetting, and it really affected Andrea, and it was a big moment in the comics. And to have that moment be put onto the television screen and have it be Bob that dies, like, I'm not attached to Bob in any way. We haven't really learned much about him. You know, he seems like a good guy, but we haven't necessarily grown to love him. And I don't think that his death, if he dies this way, it will have the same effect on people that it would have if it was Carol or Glenn or Maggie or Daryl or Rick. Obviously it's not going to be Rick, but you know, if it was a huge, or Michonne, a huge character that we've grown to love for 5 seasons, that would have a bigger impact. And as much as I want to see all of our characters survive forever until the end of The Walking Dead, we know that's not going to happen, but I'm almost a little disappointed that they're going to choose a lesser character to take on this huge moment. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? I could be totally wrong. Obviously we don't know for sure that it's Bob, but I really think that that's what they're gonna do. And like I said, it is a little bit disappointing to see that moment being taken by a lesser character. So I don't know, what do you guys think about that? That's it for this video, just a little discussion topic on what I think is going to happen. Please feel free to leave any comments down below regarding this video, or for anything else you would like me to talk about. If you guys have not yet checked out the We Are The Walking Dead channel that I have created and am partnering with the ZeusTuber, Clitheral, Theory of the Walking Dead, and Infinitify, the link is in the description. It is going to be an amazing channel. We just put up our channel trailer, as well as a few other videos have already been posted. I have yet to post on it, but I've got one coming. And I really hope that you guys will support us and check it out and share it with your Walking Dead friends. Most importantly, I am very, very thankful for you guys for continually watching my videos and supporting me in all that I do here. You guys are amazing. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.